What's happening?
Get ready for us. We're going live.
Bruh.
Fellas,
It's a chance of the 3.5. Wanna know the deal. What's going on?
Look at that, man.
what's up?
It's a chance of the 3.5 to be a fly on the wall. At the barber shop or gym in the bathroom stall. Or when he's on his way from hanging out or work. At the end of the day, do you ever just want to get into a huddle to listen, rebuttal, or just plain understand what's happening in the cave of a man? Yeah.
Speak on it.
3.5. Yeah.
All right.
Madam Foreperson, I understand you have reached a verdict as to each defendant.
We have, Your Honor.
After 11 hours of deliberations, the fate decided for the three men accused of murdering Ahmaud Arbery. Travis McMichael, the man who shot 25-year-old Arbery while he was jogging on a Georgia road, found guilty on all 9 counts, including murder, aggravated assault, and false imprisonment. The emotion in the courtroom palpable. Arbery's father, Marcus, unable to contain his reaction, leaving the courtroom before the full verdict was read. The jury delivering a resounding statement
As to Gregory McMichael,
on the guilt of all 3 men. Travis McMichael's father, Gregory, found guilty on 8 of the 9 counts. Neighbor William Bryan found guilty on 6 of the 9 counts.
The quick turnaround in this case tells me one thing, that the prosecution's case was so strong that it fed the jury the information they needed.
The exhale of relief evident when I spoke to the family's attorney. Ben, if I can start with you, your reaction to the verdict.
Quickly, my mind thought about just all the names, Byron. Michael Brown, Tamir Rice, Philando Castile, Eric Gardner. Finally, 2 times in 1 year, George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery. Jim Crow is still alive and well, but we gaining on him.
You know him as Ahmaud. I know him as Quez.
Yes.
He will now rest in peace.
Amen.
A peace that's taken nearly 2 years to come.
We got the guilty verdict, and he will rest in peace, and my family rests on that.
What, if anything, if you could talk to the McMichaels or talk to their families, might you say to them on this night?
You guys are going to jail possibly forever. You took a lot from my family and I. We took a loss that can't be replaced.
Is it possible to pray for the McMichaels, you think?
Yes, it is possible, because again, like I shared earlier, my family took a loss, but their family took a loss as well. I'm not sure where I go from here, to be honest.
Tell me, have you seen all the Marvel movies? Are you a Marvel movie fan?
I wouldn't call myself a fan. I'm a Marvel movie appreciator.
Oh, okay.
I appreciate it. I'm not like well versed in all of them, and I definitely have gotten lost over the last couple of years.
Right.
Just because there was so many coming out that all had to do with each other, but were different, you know?
Right.
That man next to you, he's your brother. That woman over there, she's your sister.
Higher, further, faster, baby. That's right.
We're all part of one universe
Wakanda forever!
that moves ever upward and onward to greater glory.
Right. I was, my wife and I, in the last 2 months, were just let's try to watch every single Marvel movie.
What, you went on Disney?
On Disney, yes.
Uh-huh.
We wanted to watch all the Marvel movies and try to watch it in chronological order.
I wanted to do that. Yeah, that was my aim. Yeah.
So we finished it. We finished most of them. We missed one, and it was not on purpose. We missed one by accident. So we finished it, and we were going through our queue this evening, and we were like, oh my goodness, we missed watching Captain Marvel.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh, that's a pretty big one. We need to watch it. So ended up watching this afternoon, whatever, started watching it. And I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And you find out there's a big piece of the puzzle missing. There was a big piece of the puzzle that was missing that tied into Avengers and tied into WandaVision. And I was like, oh my goodness, without this one piece, we were asking all these questions. Like, oh, they left this part out the whole time. We were just missing like one movie out of the 20 Marvel movies.
You're sitting there critiquing the director like, yeah, they should have done this.
Yeah, what they were doing. I'm like, oh, okay, of course, we missed it.
Don't they put it in order for you, or can't you put it in order?
They have it. So they have it in a couple of different ways. They have it like completely in chronological order.
Uh-huh.
And then they also have it in like three parts, like phase 1, phase 2, phase 3.
So what's the best way to watch it then?
There's the recommended way that the most popular is people watching it in chronological order. I personally did not watch it in chronological order. I watched it in the phases because the phases seem to, at glance, make the most sense.
Okay.
So I just went with the eye test, and obviously I've seen some of them before I decided to watch them all in chronological.
Well, because some of it is done like a vision board. They don't really go in order like that.
That's right.
Kind of placed over here. Some of that stuff is happening around the same time.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. It's just really interesting stuff. I don't know, Bruno. Have you ever gotten into the whole Marvel movement?
I've seen a couple here and there. Is there? I was going to ask you. Is there like a date released option as well? Is that even something that matters?
You know what? I think so.
Yeah,
I think there is.
Because if you sometimes go in that chronological order, then it's kind of like, all right, cool, okay, I understand it. But sometimes you kind of need to watch this one, and because then it references something else in the back,
right?
Or maybe in the future, and then you're like, oh, and that whole oh moment, that's like that's something that gets you, like, oh shit, that's cool.
We were about like 3/4 done with Captain Marvel, and we saw like literally it was like a throwaway, like for anyone who hasn't watched the whole Marvel universe, it was like a throwaway line. And I don't want to like say it because you guys have never seen it, but it was like a throwaway line. And Megan and I paused it, and she was like, "Can you believe this?"
Yeah.
And she explained it to me, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" And she explained this little part, and it was like such a big moment that
was it about the cat?
It was like forecasting. It wasn't about the cat, but it was something to that effect. Something to that effect where it was like, holy crap. Like
I have ship watched Captain Marvel.
Watched Captain Marvel,
yeah. And we all know what that means.
Yeah, exactly.
And they definitely play it in a weird order because sometimes they'll let some play 20 times in a row, and then all of a sudden another one to play twice, and then they move on to the next one. Like, damn, I thought I had enough time to go to the garden,
go back and watch it,
and catch it.
Yeah, man. Oh, ship watched. Honestly, that really took me back to watching. My big ship watch was I'd walk in. It was so weird. Every single night, guys, I would walk into my room, and after my show, I would walk in, the same episode of Friends would be playing. And literally I'd walk into my room and it would be like the same scene. It was like I felt like I was in what is it, Groundhog Day? Like, what the hell is going on?
The same thing is happening.
But isn't that ship life? Like
that's exactly ship life.
Very much so.
Groundhog Week.
Groundhog Week. I know. Yeah. Yeah. If you're on a 7-day cruise,
on a 7-day cruise, it's perfect.
You're right.
But then you get fucked when you get like those 3 and 4 day cruises. You're like, what the wait? Didn't we just do this?
I don't know how people do it. I was so spoiled in that regard because all my cruises were long cruises. Like the shortest cruise I ever did was a 10-day cruise.
Yeah, you did the big the longer ones, the
I did those like
longer itineraries and everything.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, I have a lot of friends who told me those 3, 4, 7-day cruises were really aggressive, but like there were elements of those contracts that were so ridiculously fun. Like
the weird ones are like the 10 and 12 days.
Yeah, those were
because there's really nothing in between. But then the good ones are also the 14-day cruises.
I like the 14
because 2 of them, dude, you're done with a month. Just 2.
Right.
The 14-day cruise, which Bruno can slightly attest to this, but it probably was more irritating for him than it was for me as a performer. There were times in the beginning of the Jade contract that we would do Smokey Joe's at the top of April and not touch it again until the very end of April, if not the beginning of May.
Right.
That's crazy.
And so it was like,
Do I remember this show?
And there was a reason. Well, it had to do with set change as well.
Set changes, and it also had to do with the thing outside the theater had to do with the fact that there were a lot of people that bought the whole month.
Yeah,
to stay, and it was more than 50%.
Question about the sets that I'm not really understanding. Were the actors like moving sets as well, like in the show, or was it like the full crew?
No, set
or
change
just putting it up.
No, set change. What happened after the show?
So how they stored it and everything, and how they could get back to it. What was easy to get to reset the stage.
On a ship, obviously, there's not that much storage,
and
we had 4 big fucking shows to store and to set up. So basically 1 on stage and 3 somewhere in a storage or flown up or in like upstairs storage, everywhere.
Right.
People's cabins. No, not really, but almost, And when we first did the Jade,
we had 4 productions on that stage.
Yeah. 4 huge productions with pieces, and I shit you not, George, when I say sets would have 160 something pieces per show.
No.
And these weren't just like fucking like, oh, let's throw up a little wall, a little poster in the back and let's call it a day. No, this was, and it wasn't even like portable fluffy little material. This was heavy duty fucking heavy ass wood.
That's crazy.
Because I think people were used to maybe the company that they hired at first. Well, they still do the stuff, but I think at the beginning they were more used to on land. This is gonna be here and stay here.
It's gonna live. It's gonna live there.
Yeah. So I mean, set changes. We would have a tech crew of maybe 10, but we would have to hire another 10 extra hires for the set changes.
That's crazy.
We would have to strike everything and then reset the new show right away, even if the show wasn't going to happen the next day. But because we needed
to move everything around.
Yeah.
Right.
And some things couldn't really work with the other. So it's like, nope, this is not really going to, So it needed, some of them needed to be in a particular order, or else it just couldn't function.
What did you have? You had
at the beginning, we had Smokies, we had
World
Shout.
Goes Round.
And the World Goes Round.
What was the
we
fourth?
also had Showdown.
Showdown,
that was the first. That was the first, and the Jade was the first one.
Yeah, wow.
Where we had Shout and Showdown, and these were
killer.
Massive. And we had the sliding door things in the back, and even at that time we even had the live band. And luckily they moved around, but they were not part of the set. But at the beginning they were.
Right.
They were never seen, but they were part of the set, like on stage, and then they got moved off to the balcony in the house.
Which is so weird when they got moved over to the balcony because the sound was so delayed and it was odd.
Yeah.
When you did what was the other one that you did, Darren? They had the band on stage at the Cotton Club.
Oh yeah, After Midnight.
After Midnight, that was really cool. I like.
But we also had the band on stage for Band on the Run and Soul Rockin' Nights.
Right.
Soul Rockin' Nights. Wow. That's a throwback of a show, though, right?
Yeah.
It's
I actually never did Soul Rocking Nights, that particular show, but Soul Rocking Nights, it's kind of like a Band on the Run, kind of like a Rock You Tonight, kind of like all the other combination shows. Yeah.
Right.
But George, you did Oceania, right?
I did Oceania, and I did.
Region?
No. I did one Norwegian contract.
Okay. Really?
Sky?
Really?
As a replacement. And I didn't do it long. I did maybe like 6 weeks, month.
Well, what I liked about the Oceania ship, the one that I did, 1 or 2, I think, was like the band was, of course, on stage, but then for one of the shows, which became one of my favorite right away, was a show called Acoustic Sessions. And they did they put the band, well, they have like a mini stage, like a one-step stage up all the way up stage for the band. And then the floor, the stage is basically for the cast is on the floor level with the crowd. Darren, picture kind of like Spinnaker.
Mm-hmm.
Like that kind of situation set up, and that's the stage. But for this one, they moved the band to the floor. and they put the singers and dancers did a couple things. Obviously, the Oceania ships were smaller cast.
Way smaller.
And they put them on like, high stools kind of thing to kind of chill. And it was like an MTV Unplugged kind of thing with like the Persian rugs on the floor and all that kind of thing. It was awesome.
Cool. Wasn't that on the, well, maybe that's what you just said. That was on the, was it Regents or Oceania?
Oceania, yeah.
No, it was
I remember that being in rehearsal in Tampa.
Yeah.
Acoustic sessions, yeah.
It was a cool show, man.
Yeah. Some of those shows were really done nicely. There's something advantageous about doing like just these smaller kind of shows in those theaters.
Yeah.
We're used to always doing like associating cruise ship shows with like big space, like big stage. To do it like that was something I had a really nice time doing. Like when I did Oceania, like you're doing even my first contract, we didn't even have any dancers. It was just four people singing, and they gave us like really cool, intricate. It wasn't like, okay, you're gonna stand in that corner and you're gonna sing "Fly Me to the Moon." It wasn't like that. Like they gave us like cool quartet stuff, and we were really singing. And people
later on they started adding like a one couple or something.
Yeah, they started doing like
one or two couples that would just be dancers.
Yeah, that's it. And then they would still do the four.
Yeah,
they would still do the four singers,
had,
but they would bring like 2 to 4 dancers depending on the ship.
Yeah, the Oceania had like the dancer couple, and then there were like 2 or 3 other kind of like thing.
Correct.
But I mean, that comes to the point where the Jade's first 5 casts were non-dancers. There were singers who danced in the cast.
Right. It's so different now in that regard. Ships is so different now in regards to partying, and also like I don't even know if that will ever happen again. Like I'm part of these. I don't know. I think you and Darren gave me the link to like the NCL groups, and it's like you're here. If you're in part of any of those chats, people that are actually going back and doing contracts just as like in service. Let's just say.
Yeah.
Like they can't even go out, like they can't even leave the ship. They have to be on the ship for the first, I think, 2 months. It's crazy.
But I mean, I don't know if that might apply to everybody.
Yeah.
Not just.
Yeah, I didn't want to speak out of turn, so I'm just going by what I've seen on the chats. Yeah, that's crazy. I mean,
I think they're still trying to figure it out. That's why a lot of people haven't said it yet. But I mean, initially I heard months ago that it was going to affect everybody. So people need to be careful what contracts they're signing on to, because it's like you might sign on to something that you don't want.
Right. There's so many look, here's the thing also, gentlemen. There's so many variables when you get off that ship and you're coming into close contact with people who not only don't wear a mask, but you don't know what these strangers are walking around with, if they're asymptomatic, if they have COVID, if they don't have COVID. You don't know. There's so many variables.
.5